These parks have been ignored since John Fido left. Say what you want about John Fido, but John Fido cared about the parks. And John Fido had a great respect for the senior citizens that wanted to keep those parks clean. And the park budgets are about 1/3 of what they were. The capital budgets in the parks are about 1/3 of what they were 4 years ago. The only thing is,
He's the kind of person people listen to.
Glad to have you in Duluth.
Thank you, Derek, and good afternoon, Americans.
In fact, hundreds of thousands of people tune in for his daily radio broadcasts, but he's also published in hundreds of newspapers around the country. Thanks to one article, Duluth is getting attention nationwide. The column, which newspapers can choose to run on various days, has appeared over the last few weeks in places as far away as Texas and California. Harvey describes Duluth as being wonderful in all seasons, especially wintertime, and calls the city San Francisco with growing room.
Where's the closest walleye fishing?
Any of the lakes right just outside of town.
Really?
Sure.
Oh, my goodness.
They're all over.
I've been flying all the way up into Ontario.
He also has high praise for the city's museums, colleges, and medical facilities. What does it all mean? Good news for those trying to promote Duluth.
He's been here, he's enjoyed the community, and certainly one of our best salespeople. It adds a lot of credibility to the destination. It's a great place to live and work and visit as well.
The Duluth Convention and Visitors Bureau plans to use Harvey's words to lure more visitors and meetings to the Zenith City.
We'll get some mileage out of it and put it to good use. It's went out in a couple of letters that we've had in the last few days as well, and nice things. We thank Mr. Harvey very much for the kind words about our community.
Officials say this isn't the first time Harvey has written about the city and say he's welcome to continue for as long as he'd like. In Duluth, Derek Hines, Channel 6 News.
Which is so beautiful. I hate to see it dirtied up the way they're doing it now on television. And
yeah. So I'll contact Intake then, and
okay, kid.
let them know that the baby's over there, and we're gonna call her 9804 for now.
9804.
That's not very romantic or anything, but at least that'll give us an incident number to refer to. And,
This little girl, now known as 9804, was found in the back stall of restroom number 9 at the Mariner Mall. Jolene Johnson stopped to wash her hands before she and her husband went to the movies.
I was just in shopping. We were going to go to a movie for our anniversary, and we did a little shopping. I went to wash my hands before the movie and found the baby.
Jolene and her husband brought the newborn girl here to the Radio Shack store and asked the clerk to call 911. Within minutes, the Douglas County first responders and police were on the scene.
and thank you very much for what you've done, and appreciate it. And
All right, thanks. Yeah, we'll stop up there. I'm sure we'll let him know that.
We caught up with little 9804 wrapped in a white towel and cradled by a police officer in the storeroom at Radio Shack. From there, she was rushed by ambulance to St. Mary's Hospital. While she appeared to be full term and in good health, nobody wanted to take chances because she was just hours old.
there was a note with the baby indicating the baby was approximately 24 hours old, and that the mother was sorry but was going to abandon the child. We're hoping that the mother will contact us, even if anonymously, and give us some sort of a medical history on the baby and herself that we might need to help the baby's early years here in early days in their growth.
Police say the little girl will remain in the newborn intensive care unit at St. Mary's for observation. A social worker has also been called in to help. Michelle Lee, Channel 6 News. Oh, we're
just having a big celebration. We're celebrating that it happened. We're celebrating the long line historically of women who have made this happen, who are continuing in this building and in this city to make other things happen for women.
The Special Service District area. The Special Service District area will have the collateral, will be collateralized.
Petitions and other communications.
And this is on rehabbing a house that's been gutted, a house that nobody in their right mind would take and do it for private purposes. But if it's government money, what the heck? What the heck?
Jobs and economic development is something very dear to me because we've done no, they're not optimistic. They are numbers that have...
During the 4 years of the Doty administration, he claims on tape several places that he's created 3,500 jobs, up to 4,000 jobs, new jobs, that he, through his own personal involvement. That isn't the truth, and I think it's very important that the citizens of Duluth have an opportunity to take a close look at how many jobs have actually been created right now, today, how many more paychecks are being paid, how that's helping the economy. There are
He was looking for frogs. For the second time this week, Joel Shearhart was collecting malformed leopard frogs, like that one. See how it swims or doesn't swim?
Actually, that's why he can't swim. Both of his legs are deformed. I think this is the first one we've gotten with both legs deformed.
Looks okay, doesn't he?
No.
Oh, no. Oh, look at that. Now, that's kind of like where the... No, that's coming right... Good grief.
Research scientist Judy Helgen and Joel Shearhart work for the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. They'd been alerted to the deformed frogs by students of the Minnesota New Country School in Le Sueur who'd come to the Nye Wildlife Area for a field trip.
Oh, look at that.
They noticed the malformed frogs and found that half the frogs they collected had some kind of deformity.
Oh, my gosh, look at that.
Judy Helgen says that's 100 times as high as scientists expect.
You know, they see abnormalities, you know, one in, I don't know, a few hundred frogs, but to have the kind of thing that these students have found is very unusual.
Judy Helgen said frogs are good indicators of the health of a wetland or river system because as they grow from water-dwelling tadpoles to land-dwelling frogs, they're easily damaged by things in their environment.
Oh, look at that. That is really bizarre. I have never seen that before.
The frogs will go to a laboratory to be analyzed for abnormally high levels of unusual chemicals like heavy metals or pesticides. When they find out what might have caused the deformities, they'll try to figure out what to do about it.
A pleasure flight turned tragic for the pilot of this single-engine float plane. 69-year-old Kermit Meehan of Wayzata was killed as he attempted to land on Ash Lake, 14 miles north of Orr. An Ash Lake resident heard the crash.
Well, I saw him come down the lake from east to west, and I heard him make his turn over here, over the swamp. I heard him come in and cut his engines. And 5 seconds later, I heard this big thump in the lake, and I knew something was wrong right there.
Something was wrong. Meehan and his passenger, 37-year-old Todd Pfeiffer of Elk River, were en route from neighboring Crane Lake to visit Pfeiffer's parents. The Pfeiffers owned this cabin just across the lake from where the plane went down.
So I ran down and looked on the lakeshore, and it had gone straight in like that. And there was already 5-6 boats on the way, so I ran up to the house and called 911.
Pfeiffer managed to escape the submerged plane and struggled with passing anglers to try and save the 69-year-old Meehan, who was trapped inside. Their efforts were unsuccessful. Pfeiffer was taken to a local hospital, treated for minor injuries, and released. The FAA is expected to investigate the crash after the wreckage is pulled from the water. Near Orr, Ann Carroll, Channel 6 News.
Okay, the biggest thing that's being done right now is that we're putting it all together, and so that we can get it turned over to the county attorney's office so he can have enough facts to make his determination if there will be charges or not.
Bruce Braddock Sr. remembers the day in August 1993 that he watched his 17-year-old son die at the hands of Richard Laurie, an angry father.
I have never in my life hurt. I saw my own son blown apart, and it just hurts me.
And now, for the third time, Bruce Braddock Sr. will sit and listen to the evidence again. It all began at this home in Tenstrike near Bemidji in August of 1993. A slumber party. There was drinking. Some teenage boys showed up. They went to a nearby cemetery, and that was when Heather Laurie was raped. The next day, her father, Richard Laurie, went to the home of Bruce Braddock Jr. and shot and killed him, also critically wounding his father. The criminal complaint against Laurie says that as he was about to shoot, his daughter told him that Bruce Braddock Jr. was not involved, a story she now denies.
I've known all along who they are, and I knew then, and they can't try telling me that I said something else, because I know what I said. You know, when you're not lying, you know what you said, because there's only one thing you could have said.
After the first trial, Richard Laurie was convicted. However, that conviction was soon overturned because 3 jurors came forward and said that they were pressured by the foreman, who said the judge would not accept a hung jury. In the second trial, the jury could not reach a verdict, and the judge in that case did declare a mistrial. Meanwhile, Bruce Braddock Sr. thought of leaving the tragic memories behind and starting anew somewhere else. But he says he can't leave the soil where his son spent the last moments of his life.
The first thing that comes to my mind, my son's blood's there. His soul's here. I can't leave it. I can't leave my son. I just can't. Because my son lives here. I can feel him at times. My boy really loved me. And I loved him. You know? And I'll never let him go. Never.
the city? You ever have to deal with this before?
Most of the work has already been completed with respect to design and deciding the key issues. The actual implementation is fairly simple. It's a matter of going out and surveying it and painting the stripes on the roadway.
So that could be happening anytime then after the variance committee says, okay, go ahead and do it?
Well, there's some time to get a contractor hired. I think you could expect to see this happening in early to mid-October.
One of the key points that people are interested in is how is their contribution used. And the Charities Review Council says that an organization should spend at least 70% of total expenses on program activity and not more than 30% on administration and fundraising. So that's a real key point of information that people are asking charities right now.
And so if they want to know more about a charity, do you check into that for them then, or do you just provide them with...
Carrying, we will call on them after that. Okay, the first...
True, or do we have one block in the...
There is never a place to park out in the front. When I take my husband to work, I come home, there's no place to park. They're bumper to bumper there all during the week. And another point, too, is the garbage deal. I've seen them take their garbage out of their cars, set it on the street, and just drive away.
Tonight, and I thank engineering and I thank the people for being here tonight to help us hear what's going on.
Thank you, Councilor Talarico, for going over the details on that. I appreciate that. Councilors, anything else? Okay, well, one more speaker. Come on up then.
Well, yeah, probably got some.
So we're very excited about that. We recognize the outstanding skills and knowledge they're going to be bringing to our organization, and we're just glad that we're going to be able to continue that throughout Douglas County and our entire region. You get more than one type of response. Any other questions?
Other side?
Got enough time.
Getting it.
Was the actor that caused that crime, and that he was aided and abetted by it.
Person was Denise Daly was pushed, or?
Well, they said it was not an accident, and that's about all I can say on that issue at this time. Her body was exhumed from her grave in Fort Wayne, Wisconsin, and subsequently a pathologist said she was murdered, and it was not a suicide.
Apparently, according to the release, that said something about that there had been blunt trauma to the head?
base of the skull was smashed in, yes.
Of everything before we spend one further dollar of city money. So we're just being cautious, making sure that everything is signed on the dotted line. I think you've heard from several people, including my fellow councilors, they don't want anything to happen until they see it in writing, and that's kind of the position we're taking.
Nineteen-year-old Jamie Nabozny filed the lawsuit against the Ashland School District earlier this year after enduring several years of harassment and abuse from fellow students.
As an overview, I have been punched, kicked, I've been urinated on, I've been spit on, I've had things thrown at me, I've been called every name that I could even imagine, and some that I don't even want to imagine, and faggot, queer, words that I won't even say.
In the lawsuit, Nabozny argued that the school district failed to protect him from classmates who harassed him because he's gay. However, U.S. District Judge John Shabazz ruled Thursday that the schools were not required to protect him. Jamie's mother says the Nabozny family is disappointed with the judge's ruling.
They should be able to watch or make sure kids don't get beat up or urinated on, and if it happens, do something about it. It shouldn't continue happening over and over and over again.
While the Nabozny's are upset about the dismissal, they say they're pleased with some of the changes they've seen in the school district since Jamie's lawsuit was filed.
And they have another policy they have is called zero tolerance about any kind of harassment, which came out afterwards.
They also are teaching a class that a teacher had tried to get in for the last 5 years called Choices, and in that book there's one chapter that's just devoted to homosexuality, which we think is great that something is being taught in the schools, because there are gay and lesbian kids out there and they're all over.
Members of the Nabozny family say they're not ready to give up their legal battle with the district and are considering filing an appeal. In Ashland, Gina Katzmark, Channel 6 News. Authorities were called to this Meadowlands residence at the corner of Highway 7 and Lake Nichols Road around 11 o'clock Thursday night. They are responding to a report of a woman vomiting blood.
Once the ambulance crew began to transport her, they thought that there was some other cause for her injuries, so they contacted our office. We responded up to this address, and we did take a male individual into custody.
When authorities arrived on the scene here, they found the 41-year-old woman's body covered with blood inside this trailer. They say the couple was not married and had been living in the trailer as their adjacent home was being remodeled.
We're investigating the situation. We're not sure right now if it is a homicide. We haven't determined the cause of death as yet. Post will be done today, and once we have more information, we'll release it.
Captain Hart says the woman died on the way to the hospital and those injuries may indicate foul play. Investigators from St. Louis County gathered evidence and took photos both outside and inside the trailer. Investigators say autopsy results will answer many questions. Family members say the woman is originally from the Meadowlands area but had just recently moved back. Both the names are being held pending notification of out-of-town family members. In Meadowlands, Ann Carroll, Channel 6 News.
Figure out a way to get rid of us senior citizens, and they are. So are we, and the best isn't good. Our 8-year-old
The purpose today is to hear from people, hear the painful stories of people who are paying for prescription drugs and cutting back on food in order to pay their drug bills. We're hearing from people who actually went to Canada to buy drugs cheaper. We're hearing all kinds of outrageous stories, and I think the legislature has to hear these stories on how urgent this bill is. We're hearing the bill in Cato next week, and then in the Twin Cities in January, and I hope to get...
And I said, who's going to pay for it? He said, well, obviously, the consumer will end up... before these other meetings take place. That's the concern I have. So we as an organization are going to be much more vocal at the city council meetings, and we are going to hold them accountable.
The DNR agent was beaten, and he subsequently shot one of the people that was in the car. Both the DNR agent and the other subject are in the hospital at this time. We do not know the extent of the injuries. There is one person that was in the car with the other subject that is at large at this time. We do not know that person's identity.
Gary, there was an interview recently where you were asked about...
Debate. The moderator will be Justin Caesar from Central.
Before we get started, I would like to ask that you please remain silent.
I spent today in the same neighborhood that I was born in Duluth Heights, speaking with some people up there about something very important to them. It was their street. And about 20 of them turned out today to tell my opponent and I that they were disturbed and hurt that the city didn't listen to that petition, that they tore up the street and now they're cut off from ambulance and
the games that I'm offering, and it's an invitation.
Kids Plus is focused on creating opportunities for young people to be involved in community so that they are recognized as contributors in the community as well as feeling like valued members of the community.
These are not the sounds of your ordinary classroom. But for this group of 6th graders from Superior's Blaine Elementary School, the L.L. Smith is serving as their very own ship today. The students are taking part in a 2-year project studying the shipping industry of the Great Lakes, and now it's their turn to navigate.
We framed this whole navigational thing
for each one of the teams. Is you start with an understanding of the result, an understanding of the circumstances you're going to be operating in, then you develop all the individual skills you need, and then you go out and do it.
Now that we're all aboard and situated on the vessel, the 21 students have now divided into 4 separate teams. Each of the teams have specially planned each hour of this trip. Well, they'll work at stations like this one, where here they're studying Lake Superior water quality. The students started their comprehensive study last year as 5th graders when they built their own miniature ship. Now, as they stand behind the wheel to take control of the LL Smith, they are experts.
And we got really excited about it, and then we got really far, and now we've gone so far that now we get to have the chance to be able to steer it because we've learned so much.
The students will wrap up their study next spring by combining everything they know about ships into a student-designed living history museum on Superior's SS Meteor. Aboard the LL Smith, Ann Carroll, Channel 6 News.
It has been wildly successful. We had people here at 2 o'clock, and they were waiting and trying to sneak in and look around a little, and people have just been carting away bag and bag and bag and box.
We have the world experts on black bears and on wolves and on polar exploration, and this is not just a little town in the woods, you know.
What if it fell?
I've been x-raying candy for the children so that they can be sure there's no metal or needles or sharp objects that's been put in their candy.
Did you get it all yet? Yeah. Oh, did you miss some? Nope.
Isn't that 5 years before you retire?
No. 95%. City debt.
Take that time and make a phone call. Don't take our word for it. Ask them what they feel the last 8 years has been under Mayor Herb Berkson. We care about our region, and Duluth is part of the region. And I don't believe Herb Berkson's in your best interest as mayor or our best interest here in Superior.
I really appreciate that, Herb, and we're going to move ahead. We have a great city, and as I've said many times, we're on a roll in the city, and we're going to continue to do that. And I continue to encourage everyone, if we're not doing things the way you want us to, give us a call and tell us about it. And I love Duluth. I love my family. I love you all. Thank you very much. I'd like to be able to work things out with Herb. I didn't have any animosity for him when we started, and I don't have any at this point. And I expect that as gentlemen we can get together and shake hands and work together for Duluth.
what makes me mad, because it didn't have to be. It didn't have to be. I didn't have to be in this situation. I mean, they were using this asbestos as late as 74.
Young man. Well, when 72 through 74, I taught in and I mean, it could be anywhere, anytime, but
This home itself is kind of the mill and the smell, and I don't think that's good.
Two, three, go! Two, three, go!
Wonderful city, all dressed up with snow and mistletoe. We forgot a part.
Christmas city, wonderful city, all dressed up in snow and mistletoe. Christmas city, wonderful city, come this Christmas to the Christmas city I'll. Christmas city I'll go.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, here's the whole deal. We have Puddle Wonderful in here, hanging out. You have a new CD out. It's blue.
Yep. Yes, it is. It's very blue.
Yeah, the guy that we recorded with, Tim Mack, he's done lots of bands. Like, he's recorded like Green Day and like he said Babes in Toyland. And
The very first Green Day thing.
Yeah, so he's done a lot of good stuff.
How long did it take to do the album? It says in the album it was 11. So that's true, 11 hours in the hangover thing?
No, yeah, 11 hours, yeah.
11 hours for 13 songs, that's all.
Yeah.
11 hours to do a whole album.
Yep.
Over the course of 2 days.
No, we pretty much know what songs work for us based on the way people react to them when we play them live. We know what songs we like. We're kind of all really laid back guys. We don't argue about anything. It's
very
really
democratic.
too significant, except when Aaron lets his guitar feedback into shows.
'87, 1983, 1984. Since the fire, we have continued to operate. We have the Our ash from this facility compares favorably to ash from power plants and other industrial plants, and in fact it could be land applied under most circumstances in the state of Minnesota. So we think we have the data that's provided. We have all of the ash testing that goes back under the required quarterly.
White gold? Oh yeah, for the ski hills and the snowmobilers. Oh yeah, you can hear those machines roaring already.
$1,000 to Mr. Tom Spence.
Thank you, Dennis.
Predecessor companies, which have also a long history in the Twin Ports, both the Great Northern and the Northern Pacific Railroad. We have been a player in this community, an industrial player for many years. We are very happy to participate in the Lake Superior Center, which we think will be a big benefit to the entire state and to the Twin Ports region.
I want to thank Burlington Northern Santa Fe for this generous contribution.
Thank you. I'd just like to announce that we are launching our private campaign for between $4 and $5 million.
The Monterey Aquarium had about a 10-minute piece, and more money to what we believe is going to be this Minnesota Center. So with that, I would like to introduce Dennis Cannon, who is a board member with the Burlington Northern Foundation. And I introduce him, and at the same time,
These are the images people remember here. Flight 5719 and its final resting place on that night, just a short way from its goal of the Hibbing-Chisholm Airport. But even though the runway was just a few short miles away, the distance is incalculable for those left behind. On this site, 2 years ago today, at 2 minutes to 8 o'clock in the evening, Flight 5719 went down, forever altering the lives of the Hibbing community. This cross still stands here as a silent memorial, placed by a community who will never forget that fateful day. Vicki Sogard lost her brother, Bill Valeri, on that night. She says her neighbors will never forget.
I never get the feeling that my pain is a burden to them. I came in work this morning and started crying, and I didn't get any of the, here she goes again. Everybody understands.
But it wasn't just Hibbing that felt the pain or the loss of the crash. Across the Northland, people identified with the victims, their families, their friends, and do so to this day.
I talk about it very often to people from outside the community, and you're often asked about it. It's one of those. It's going to be one of those days that you just will never forget.
Forgetting is the hard part. Sogard says that happy memories are easier to find now, but that the reality of the crash sometimes still seems too hard to believe.
For 2 years, it seems like an eternity. It's like, we've been good boys and girls, come back now. We did what you'd want us to do, and we've been brave, and now it's time to quit it and come home.
The numbers are startling. Rates for several different types of crime are up across the state of Minnesota, but more sharply in counties that contain gambling casinos. Overall, the rate is more than double in counties with casinos, and rate increases for forgery, fraud, and larceny are all more than double those counties that don't have casinos. Just a couple of weeks ago, a Duluth bank robbery suspect was arrested while gambling at a casino. Local experts say that now, more than ever, prevention is the best way to stop compulsive gambling and the problems it creates.
I believe people are starting to get the message. There's a lot of prevention activities that are occurring in Duluth and statewide, a lot of education about really what are the danger signals of compulsive gambling. So an individual can recognize it in himself or herself, as well as it can be recognized by family members.
George says the city of Duluth has been in the lead in addressing the problem. Recent city council debates about slowing the spread of gambling are finding a welcome audience.
I think Duluth has been extremely progressive on this issue, and people are coming forward in greater numbers, saying, identifying themselves as having problems or identifying others and looking for help for them as well.
We'll take the cut it. Congratulations, the lady.
Pipelines have been referred to as quiet steel, as our underground petroleum transportation system really isn't very visible to the general public. And that's really the way we'd like to keep it. Of paramount importance is our commitment to minimizing the impact on the surrounding environment and upholding public safety.
It's pretty clear that the warden tried to take some defensive action, backed away several times, gave many verbal commands to stop, stay back, get down.
We get a handle on them, but again, because it's been so cold, it's been exacerbated by the extreme cold. So early in the year with out a lot of snow, we're ahead of it, but it's just one of those realities in Minnesota. You deal with snow, you deal with potentials of frozen hydrants.
A crackling fire, a sleeping child in a rocker, a favorite puppy at her feet. The only thing missing here is a late-night visit from Santa. This Christmas display is the latest creation of 82-year-old Joseph Grotzinger. Located on the 700 block of Superior's Weeks Avenue, it's hard to miss the Grotzingers' place at night. 3,000 Christmas lights lead the way. That's right, 3,000 lights. That's got to be an expensive hobby.
Well, some of it I wait till after Christmas. But first time I bought up, then I had to buy it full price. But now I wait till after Christmas, and then I get them put them for half price or less.
Joseph has been crafting whirligigs, lighthouses, and lawn ornaments for dozens of years. The sidewalk in front of his yard is a popular stop for neighborhood kids.
In the summertime, there's a lot of them come along and lean against the fence. Fence leans in. Look at that stuff out there.
In recent years, an eye disease has begun to rob Joseph of his sight, limiting his time in his woodworking shop. 3 years ago, Joseph decided instead to focus on Christmas lights. He begins stringing lights in October. Joseph's biggest worry is keeping the squirrels from wrecking his lights. Joseph's wife's biggest worry is he insists on doing most of the decorating himself.
Well, it's so cold out there on him, and that climbing, he's getting a little bit old to do that climbing, especially when he goes up the trees.
Joseph's retinas are deteriorating, but he can still see his Christmas lights. He can also see the slowly moving headlights of cars driving by at night to admire his work. To him, that's his greatest reward, one he's not ready to give up.
I think maybe next year yet.
One more year.
I think so,
All righty.
if I'm lucky.
If we're lucky. Yeah.
The victim drove into the gas station, parked right in front of the station, stepped out of his truck, and went in and made a small purchase. Came back out, got in the truck, and as he was leaning over to buckle his seatbelt, he was struck in the head.
Same evening, he received only
Sweetheart, stop coming by.
The SWAT came in. They bring me and my kids out to the car. The SWAT was here, and they checked the whole house. They left the search warrant and they didn't seize anything. The search warrant's right here. It says nothing was found.
But it's a bad thing what's happening to us. I don't understand why they're bothering us for. They just want us to leave us alone.
Thank you. Good morning. Merry Christmas. This is great. This is really fun to see all the people's reactions and everything.
Sweetie, nice to meet you. Merry Christmas, sweetheart. Hello, folks.
But I think in general retail, it sounded like it was soft nationwide. There was a lot of bad weather. The East Coast got hit hard.
So that you don't leave your guests just sitting there for 3 or 4 hours with nothing to do but keep a drink in your hand. And that's a bad way to end a party if they're going to be spending all that time. Once people have had a chance to have 3 or 4 drinks, then shut off the alcohol at your party and provide some exotic non-alcohol drinks for them to finish up with.
He already is. As far as he's concerned.
Yeah.
Or before. Yeah.
He looks pretty excited, huh?
Well, it's really, I mean, it's just kind of all in fun. We just kind of, the patients and the families kind of get all excited about being the first baby of the year. So it's just all in fun.
Sure.
Well, our teacher at Denfeld asked us to do it, and it's just something they do before the show that's kind of fun for the kids, and they seem to really be enjoying it.
Even 1967, I was at Lambeau Field enjoying a football game where the Packers beat the Dallas Cowboys. Pretty chilly that day. We had to stop and get gas line antifreeze on our drive across the state so the car would continue running. I was actually pretty comfortable, though. The woman next to me left at halftime and left me a sleeping bag to sit in the second half, and I did just fine.
Randy Richgruber and many of his fellow Minnesota Power and Superior Light and Power co-workers were doing just fine at noon hour today. This group of die-hard Green Bay Packer fans spent their lunch hour supporting the Packers at a Lambeau Field-style indoor tailgate party.
See a lot of these in the end zone, I'm sure.
A regular meeting room was transformed into a green and gold shrine, complete with Packer highlights, banners, and a dedication to the 1967 Ice Bowl, which included an authentic football signed by every player from that team. The menu included original Wisconsin items like Milwaukee brats and Green Bay chili with secret stadium sauce. Green and gold-clad Packer backers from both Wisconsin and Minnesota were here today cheering on Green Bay. There were even some local celebrities.
And we're real pleased to have Frank Emmert with us.
Superior's most famous cheesehead even crossed state lines to honor the Pack. Frank Emmert is leaving Sunday for Dallas after a company donated tickets to the game. And by the way, this time Emmert will be flying commercial, but he'll still wear his protective cheesehead on the flight.
I'm delighted to head to the game. The gentleman from Naples, Florida, when he came through with the tickets and the hotel's rooms, right along with another gentleman out of Wisconsin here, it was kind of unbelievable. I'm no better than the next Packer fan. We're all one big family rooting on our team.
Even Superior Mayor Margaret Saccone was on hand taking part in Packer Fever festivities.
Absolutely. We've been talking a long time about our Twin Ports area and how we're all one community, and I think this really shows it, that Duluth is willing to host a great party like this for the people that are great Packer backers and come across the bridge to work.
The 1967 Ice Bowl was the last time the Packers played this late in the season. They eliminated the Dallas Cowboys then, and Packer fans hope they'll do it again on Sunday.
So, go Packers go, and may the cheese be with you.
In Duluth, Ann Carroll, Channel 6 News.
Most taxpayers who fill out the 1040 Easy Tax form are now able to use their telephones instead. The Internal Revenue Service's File by Phone program has gone nationwide this year.
Welcome.
The system is fully automated and takes about 10 minutes.
Well, Telefile not only saves taxpayers time and trouble, it also makes the IRS more efficient, and taxpayers can get their refunds even more quickly than usual.
To file by phone, you must have received the Telefile booklet in the mail. Taxpayers must be single with no dependents, have taxable income less than $50,000, must have previously filed a tax return, and live at the same address as last year. About 23 million people will receive the special Telefile booklet this tax season. The Telefile program computes your income, your tax, the earned income tax credit if you qualify, and your refund or balance due.
It's clearly not for somebody that's got a complicated tax situation, but for somebody that's pretty straightforward, it probably would help the overall picture, just the bureaucracy of, waiting for your tax returns and things like that.
It's got appeal just for the convenience of it, being a convenient society the way we are right now. As far as the younger people, I would say sure, why not?
Telefile is available 24 hours a day. Calls will be accepted through midnight, April 15th. Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News. I've never seen a husky this color.
She has a brother, and hasn't been sold yet, so I'm talking to trying to talk my wife.
It is first, okay. It's the dog.
This event here, we draw in approximately 1,000 people. So the sports garden is packed with a lot of adorable puppies and public. And afterwards, this year, at 2 o'clock, we'll be doing dog sled rides with musher Jamie Nelson, who is...
Okay, ready, kitty? All right, kitty. Peace, right. There we go. All right.
It's the winter, and you have to make the most of it. It being part of the North is being a survivalist in a way, and also the history of it all. We're part of something great going on here.
Bear Grease fans from around the country packed checkpoints along the trail, eager to get a close look at the racers and their dogs.
Hi. Hi.
I'm always amazed they come running out of the woods in these kind of temperatures, and they're grinning and their tails are wagging, and everybody's a little tired now, but for the most part the dogs' spirits are good. And
The heavy snow and cold has been a concern for some.
I would say that the dogs are, for the most part, doing real well. Certainly no more problems than anticipated. I think the deep snow is something that can lead to problems, but the mushers have been real attentive, and we haven't had any major problems.
The weather doesn't seem to be a problem for fans either.
Oh, this is not cold. This is good today. I think we have -10 today, something like that. Yeah, no, this is not bad. This is pretty good.
Pushed by strong winds across Devil's Track Lake, race favorite Doug Swingley was first into the Skyport checkpoint at about 12:30. Along the Bear Grease Trail, Rich Powell, Channel 6 News.
Look at them. Mallard ducks, Canada geese, and when the wind parts the steam rising off the water, trumpeter swans. Trumpeter swans serve as figureheads, if you will, of the 13-year-old non-game wildlife checkoff program. Some of them, the ones with the neckbands, were raised and released by Hennepin Parks in its own project. But those with wing tags are among 217 raised and released by the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. The gray, dirty-looking birds without any tags are the youngsters, born in the wild, signs that a bird once eliminated from Minnesota can live and raise families here again.
Hey, guys. Guess what time it is?
This is their winter home down south. Water is warmed by a power plant upstream, and Sheila Lawrence feeds them.
Well, I've been doing it since '85, just the ducks and the geese, but the swans are coming in '87.
They fly in from who knows where, an average of about 130 this year, up from 85 or so last year. Sheila Lawrence says it took a while to figure out how to reserve some corn for the swans, but putting it in those taller pails allows the geese to eat down to a specific level, and after that, only swans have necks long enough to reach it. Sheila Lawrence says it costs her $500 or $600 a year to feed the waterfowl, but she still marks in that chickadee checkoff square on her state income tax form.
Yeah, and I also claim 170 dependents.
Sheila Lawrence says feeding gives her a good feeling, partly because she's helping the largest waterfowl in North America come back to Minnesota, so folks here can enjoy it again. Ken Speak for NBC News.
Or a business partnership or a community group that's in the community working together for the...
Overspending has stopped. The district will move from a June 1994 general fund operating deficit of $5.1 million to a $2 million general fund reserve by June 30th of this year.
In this kind of weather, you just need to allow more time to get where you're going. And be aware that whenever you come to an intersection, there may be another driver trying to pull out that you may not be able to see because of the high snowbanks.
Raise the living standard for virtually everybody in this country. I would submit that that can even help senior citizens. Right now, Chris has been doing if you're a high school dropout today and you're 30 years old, you're making about 30% less than a high school dropout made 30 years ago. I think you can help strengthen those here, which is to actually cut back on a third of this group that has done extremely well. So instead of having a rising tide lifting all boats, increasingly, it's been a rising tide lifting all yachts, and the rowboats that started getting left behind.
So I lifted it up, then I dropped it on the table and it broke the one picture. Glass shattered under it.
There's talk going around about Charlie and
I think we're going to have a very good run. Ticket sales right now are very strong, but I'd like to tell people that there's still tickets available, so call in their reservations.
Hello. Good evening. Good evening. I don't know where everyone is.
You mean we're the first?
No, everyone's here. They're just spread out a little.
Can I have a drink, please? Double scotch.
Hey, with lime, no ice.
Fine. You know, I don't believe we've met.
Your hands are like ice. Something's going on here, isn't it? You are so smart. You are so quick to see things. You're scaring me, Chris. Tell me what's going on. All right. Ken and I arrived about 10 minutes ago. And when we were getting out of our car,
I hurt my fingers. I'm sorry to hear that.
hand to secure the right. If you have any trouble finding yourself, I'll be more than glad to. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. I done cooking. Child, on the Aunt Effie show, you know we love to have ourselves some fun. The world is becoming too much for us.
You couldn't resolve the contradictions of our existence.
And you couldn't resolve yesterday's pain. The concoction you got. Guess what, y'all? You had baked yourself a batch of Negroes. Yes, yes, yes. You had baked yourself a batch of Negroes. But don't y'all ask me to do it unless you got them. Cause child.
Well, like Joe was saying, we come up for the Viking Children's Fund, a big ride for charity. And it's just a great time to get everybody together and have a great time on snowmobiles.
I get to say this to Northeast Minnesota because I would have never won the endorsement, I would have never won the primary, and I would have never won the election if not for Northeast Minnesota.
He tells us that he's not too far from reaching the amount that is needed for the project to proceed. If he in fact does do that, and he seems to believe that by April he could do that, the option is always there for him to come back and approach DETA, approach the city of Duluth, and that the project then perhaps could move ahead. In Colorado, up over the hill, it's, there are different...
I do wish to emphasize, though, that he has to secure...
That's not a black mark on the city of Duluth by any means. We have done our job. If anything, I think it's a positive for this community because we had the foresight, the administration, and DETA to look ahead and say, what if this doesn't work?
Welcome to this week's wonderful world of animals. Of course, we're trying to get needed animals adopted here, and we've been very successful, and thank you to everybody out there for the great help that you've given us. I'm with Diane Parkhurst with the Friends of Animals at Cloquet, and she has Baby with her today. Now, Baby is the first cat I've picked up in a long time. I'm allergic to cats. They can make my eyes puff up, but cute cat worth picking up, and this cat, as you said, is ready to be adopted.
6 months old, spayed. She is good with other cats, and she's good with dogs.
Yes, very active and very personable. You can see the face just ready to talk to you. You're ready to go out there and see some squirrels as the warmer weather is coming out. Baby is ready to get out and be busy with a lot of the other animals, so she's just waiting for a home. And another thing we're going to talk about today is not only Baby being adopted, but identification on animals, which is so important.
Well, you know what? We pick up a lot of animals that if they could only talk, they could tell us where they live, but they can't. And people may be looking for them, and we miss them. ID tags are a wonderful thing. City license is good, Babies is good, but you know what? If I pick up your animal after 5 o'clock, I can't find you. Right. So what I really, really like is to see a personal ID tag on your animal, on your dog especially. You can even get collars with your dog's name and phone number embroidered in them. For cats, ID is good for cats too, but you know what? You have to have a breakaway collar on cats.
Okay.
The big thing in identification nowadays, tattooing has been a popular thing for many years. The new thing is microchipping.
Okay.
It's a marvelous way. You can do it with both cats and dogs. Cats need to be at least 6 months old to do it. Mm-hmm. It's a permanent thing. All you do, most of the vets can do it. It's a real simple procedure. It's just a little injection between the shoulder blades with a little chip. Shelters, humane societies, and local vets who take in strays have scanners. They pass the scanner over it, and your animal is home before you know it. It'll save you heartbreak, it'll save your animal being frightened and maybe wandering the street, and it'll make our job a lot easier.
Okay. For more on Baby's waiting for you in Cloquet at the Friends of Animals, and Diane will be there to answer any more questions you may have. Here's more information on the screen for you, the address and the phone number, and you're open?
In Cloquet, and we also have many wonderful dogs right now.
Okay. So there you have it. A lot of animals ready for homes as spring nears here in the Northland. Okay. So there you have it. A lot of animals ready for homes as spring nears here in the Northland.
Serve meals here every day. And it's been a wonderful partnership between us. All of the people that work for our company volunteer their time. They're here from Ely, Hayward, Virginia, Duluth, and Superior.
W-R-I-G-H-T, just like the Wright brothers. And Frank belonged to my great-great-grandmother.
Oh.
But she bought it at the end of her life, and usually the lifespan is 1890.
Wow. And you bought it here locally, or? What do you? I'm not really.
1780.
Why only one hand? You know?
In those days, I figured that was all right. Halfway between, I knew what time it was. You know, that's the way the early ones were.
So what time is that? What time is it showing? That's
9 o'clock. I don't normally run that. It's so it's ungodly long. You know.
You're even in Duluth.
We'll take one shot of those bronze and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 3 different colored marbles. 3 colored marbles, bronze trim. And when I realized it was a pinwheel, I snapped it up right away.
You knew your clocks. Good.
This one is the dome. One of my favorite style clocks. It has
That's
nice
beautiful.
sound quality.
These have the green one and the black one here under the dome. They have certain names. Like this one's a pinwheel.
This is
come down here and just sit?
Oh, I do all the
Relax?
time.
Oh, how
Because
heavenly.
I'm not totally honored.
So you fix the clocks, most of.
And how long have you had this thing? Do you know how long ago you
Just bought it. Just bought it. It's my most recent product.
How long have you had the kupi?
Next one I want to show you, this is called an English lantern. Do you want to hear the strike and have it in the film?
Sure, you can do it.
Okay, which one is it now?
Just to fill in a little bit from what Mayor Gary Doty said, it's about everything you want to know about teen gambling, but didn't think. Very early on in the project, we recognized that this particular age group, and it targets middle school age kids, we needed to have a message that was designed to reach them.
Andy Story. The Minnesota Council on Compulsive Gambling recently asked him to share his experiences with some Duluth middle school students. This is what they learned.
Were family and friends like a low priority, like just gambling was your #1 priority?
Yeah, basically. I mean, it took place of my sports too, which was my #1 thing.
Did you realize you were a compulsive gambler?
That we no longer have the option to be afraid, and we are not alone.
Because, as you see, it's almost a standing room only crowd, and it's a historical moment for people of color in Duluth, where they have come together around one issue, and that is police misconduct.
You know, repeated it about 3 more times. Finally, me and my friend were on the ground. They searched us. They said that they believed that we had a weapon on us, and I'm thinking, weapon? Weapon for what? We weren't doing anything but just being at the mall.
Well, the town's been really affected by this. It's the greatest tragedy ever as far as Iron County or Hurley is involved. We have 6 local people dead in the fire.
Therefore, be it resolved that the attorneys should be removed from. And bear in mind, it will be in the Twin Cities.
Social services, the ultimate object is so much betterness and was poor. Lost her kids, had to come up with $4,000. Almost impossible just to get her kids back from a man who's got, the kids of 3 wives. So they feed on this, and we're trying to get rid of that.
The winner in the 42K coming in right now, and we is number 250.
It's been a great day. Everybody says the snow is good and the trails are good and the conditions are great and everything's went well. Nobody's got hurt.
itself down in amongst the rocks, it is a bottom. And they have kind of fat lips.
Yeah, do they have real sharp little teeth too, or?
Well, as a matter of fact, one of the people that live, unfortunately it's preserved, but the eyes are kind of sunk in right now, but the eyes are slightly raised. I was looking at the microphone. I'm not sure where those species of gobies reside and if they're actually... Yeah. Adhere itself down in amongst the...
Certain locations are worse than others because of the number of dogs available and the number of deer available. Duluth always has a problem on the outlying areas. Two Harbors will as well. Basically, in any town where the dogs can get out where the deer are, that's where the problems are going to be. Oh, strictly to protect the big game animals. Deer.
In Springfield, Illinois, political birthplace of a man named Lincoln, Bob Dole revived a revered tradition among Republican office seekers. While visiting Abraham Lincoln's tomb, he rubbed the nose of Lincoln's bust for luck.
It's gonna work.
Dole has won 18 straight primaries. Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, and Wisconsin all vote tomorrow.
The road to the White House runs through Illinois. You don't get there unless you carry this great state. And I need your help.
You just look at the pile, you can see a bunch of bricks there.
Outside Milwaukee, Pat Buchanan toured a ready mix factory. Midwest voters tomorrow should help cement his defeat in this race, but Buchanan's still in the mix, paving his own path to his party's convention.
If Senator Dole wins enough delegates and gets the nomination and puts in the line of succession a strongly a pro-choice on abortion figure as you named, I believe that many of our people and many of the Right to Life people would walk out of the convention and not support the ticket.
In Ohio, Steve Forbes returned to campaigning today, not for himself, but for Bob Dole. The man he spent millions bashing, he now spends time boosting. Forbes has this prediction about the back half of a Dole ticket this November.
But it will be one of the Republican governors, probably one of the Midwestern governors.
Possibly Illinois Governor Jim Edgar. Here in the heartland, Bob Dole may harvest more than 4 more delegate jackpots. He could find a running mate. Even if Bob Dole wins every single Midwest delegate tomorrow, he'll still be 16 delegates shy of the total he needs to clinch his party's nomination. Those he should win next week in California. Mark Strassman, NBC News, Chicago.
Having to drag the laundry down, you know, that's true. Michelle's been there for
Yeah, she's been around a long
a long
time,
time.
too. Appreciate Mom and Dad a little more, do you?
Having to drag the laundry down, you know, it's like 50.
More roads today than we did 24 years ago. And meanwhile, the number of licensed drivers has increased, the number of vehicles on the roadway has increased, the number of miles traveled has increased, the number of accidents has increased, and we just simply can't keep pace with it.